Hi, my friends. Yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal. North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. Thank you for tuning in. A little bit of a somber piece there. I want to give our thoughts and prayers out for everyone that's trying to survive this hurricane and who's going through it. Our hearts bleed for you guys. And there's a lot of destruction, and it's a bad one. They say this was the worst one since Hurricane Katrina. And I think we'll never forget that. What is happening, Surf Prophet 9? What's happening? Thank you for tuning in. And if I do not comment, so far I'm getting my comments in. But now we're getting a storm out here. So if you hear a little bit of rumbling, it's from the storm. We're getting some showers today or this evening. And it was lightning a little while ago. Of course, just before I went to go live, it's good at lightning. But if I don't respond, it's because I can't see your guys' comments. But I'm going to do my best to keep up with this thing here. Yeah, it's a bad one, Surf. It's a bad one, man. It's, I think, I hope Randy Tritt is doing good. Because I thought I saw something pertaining to he's without lights. I think he's in West Virginia, which I believe got hit real bad as well. And to be without power, man, it sucks, and especially when it's hot out, and your food, your perishables, so we try to keep the refrigerators, closed. What we did to prepare for the hurricane before it hit is that we when we bought extra bottles of water, stuck them in the freezer, and so they would freeze. And I think we almost put a whole case or close to it. We get the 24 pack, and maybe we put like 18 bottles in there or something like that. Just freeze everything, and of course we have extra canned food. I have to have the low sodium soup and stuff like that. So, and we still have some of the FEMA food left from Hurricane Ian, and we have some other emergency food in case we have a situation. And we're hoping that FEMA makes their way through the Carolinas, through Tennessee, through Georgia, through West Virginia. One of the areas got hit real bad. Our heart bleeds for all you guys. And another good friend of ours, Joe Wentz Project. He's in South Carolina. I hope you're doing well too, Joe. You and Randy, man, they're good people, and we just hope and pray for you. One of the places that got hit bad was North Carolina with the Black Mountains and a place called Asheville. And I started checking out some of these videos. They're art videos, doing landscape paintings and that. And some of the paintings look like they were from that area. And then, when you click on YouTube videos, and all these other videos start popping up on the area. So I was checking out quite a few of these videos on Asheville, North Carolina. I thought, wow, that's a beautiful place. We've got a little swig here. That's a real beautiful place. And maybe one day take a quick vacation up there. And, bring the camera. Of course, bring the guitar. See about doing a gig up there. I was Googling, or I was YouTubing the live music scene, and it's pretty diverse. It's pretty diverse. They'll have a rock scene, they have a blues scene, they have a jazz scene, they have a country. I mean, they have everything, which is great. And then not just bring the guitar, but the cameras to take photos. They're beautiful. Start doing some landscape paintings. And I thought, geez, if everything went bad here, if we ever wanted to move, we could check out, over there. And then boom, here comes this hurricane. And what makes this so bad, guys, is that part of it, you got these valleys and in the mountains, so you got a lot of upper terrain so that you're away from everything. But the problem is, when the lower terrain gets flooded, nobody can make their way up to the hills. So the people up in the hills, they're running out of supplies. And the people down, I was seeing videos of their houses being just washed away with people in them. That's kind of like what happened down here with Ian at Fort Myers Beach. This house was floating away, and the guy's wife made it out, but he was stuck in. He made it out, but he was stuck in the attic as it was, you know, floating down the stream there. But I would have to say, this hurricane hitting the Carolinas and the whole region up there did a lot more damage. I was just shocked. It hit as a Category 4, and when we got hit with Ian, it was someplace it was like Category 5. But it doesn't matter. It's strong winds are strong winds, and storm surges are storm surges, and destruction is destruction. And that's what's so that sucks, man. That really sucks. And it's gonna take years for these places to be rebuilt. And you know, it's really tough when you're going through this, especially for those who lost loved ones. You know, material things could be replaced. Your loved ones, they can't. They can't. And they were saying on the news that they were seeing some of the bodies stuck in the trees. I don't know if that's a result of, you know, them hightailing it to safety, grabbing onto whatever they can. And the storm surge just, you know, wiping them out. And as you know, knocking the trees down. So as the trees are going down the river or wherever the water in the direction of the flow of the water, you know, they get they drowned or they get hit in the head or bounce off something and it, you know, kills them. And then as the water recedes, you see their bodies, and it's a horrible sight, man. Horrible sight. This happened in Fort Myers Beach when the water started to recede. The guy that used to be on Fort Myers Beach, and I remember seeing him. He used to dress up as a pirate. I guess his girlfriend asked their friend, you know, go check on so and so, and he did. And when he did, he saw his body hanging out the second floor window like this. He got stuck in the house, and the water came up and it drowned him. And when it came back down, it smashed the window. And of course, the flow of the water is going to carry whatever it's carrying. And eventually, it dragged his body, and he got stuck hanging out the window. So he sees this, and he's like, okay, man. He goes back and tells the guy's girlfriend that died. He says he didn't make it. Let's go. So it's sad. It's a sad situation, guys. It's a real sad situation, and it looked biblical, sir. If it did, it's unreal. You know, the tough thing is that half of these people, they're devastated. They're absolutely devastated, and they're waiting for supplies. And it's been a pretty hot summer. We were very fortunate and blessed that when Ian hit us, those 10 days that we got hit with no power, and actually it was kind of spotty with my internet connection, but it was a solid 10 days. The humidity was low. It was pretty low, so it was tolerable. But I can't. We have one of those lights that you wind up with it's a radio. It's got a flashlight. It's an emergency radio, and it's got a flashlight, and you wind it up. I don't know if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. To give you an idea of what we heard for 10 days. Where is that guy? Where is he? Where is that? Where is that thing? Aha, I found it. For 10 days. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, guys. Craftsman. You can't put batteries in it. It's an emergency radio. Let's see. What's that going to go on now? And it's got a flashlight. Where's that thing? So you wind it up. Where's the flashlight at? Yeah, there it is. We get a flashlight, you know, because we had no power. So for 10 days, this is what I heard as we're walking through the house. This was our light. Now we do have a generator. Let's see. Have I got my volume up here? I'm not getting anything. Yeah, well, a little bit. Yeah. Well, I gotta really charge this thing up. But we would get the emergency radio station, and we can't put batteries in there. I gotta take these batteries out, guys. Let's take these out. I don't want them to get corroded in there. Well, I'm gonna leave that top off. So remind me. But that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. So, what a lot of these people, I'm not gonna try to move this out of the way. I'm not being negative, but I'm gonna tell you what they might go through, because this is what we went through. We had 10 days with no power. I had an additional month with my internet on my phone being just so spotty, couldn't get on anything. When we had our generator, we bought a gas generator, and then we had one from Patrionics, which is kind of like an inverter. We were able to run our fans at nighttime, and for a while we were able to microwave some of our food because of the gas generator. We had like 5 or 6 gas cans. We bought 5-gallon gas cans. We were able to go to the gas station down the road here, and of course there were lines, a lot of lines. And then with the food, with getting the food from FEMA across the street from us, from our subdivision, and just like maybe a quarter, maybe not even a quarter mile, a few blocks, and across the street is what's called the rec center and North Fort Myers library. So FEMA was staged there. So we would go over there with our wagon. Sometimes we drive. Most of the time we would drive there, but sometimes we walk there with the wagon. Load up with cases of water and then the boxes of FEMA food and bring it back, and we were able to nuke it. Had our gas generator out in our driveway, and just do the best we can. And what makes it so tough is that you're trying to rebuild after you initially go through this. You're shell shocked because you can't believe what you're seeing. You know, it's one thing watching a disaster movie. It's another thing actually living it. And it's like with a disaster movie, you wait till the end. The critics go. You could go turn the TV off, and you go to bed and go to sleep. Go nice and comfy. But in real life, it ain't that way, man. It's like a constant every single day, and then you'll get certain odors depending on got what blew by you, and what got washed by you during the storm surge. The sewage smell, some of the place that areas that were being built with the rebar. When the rebar gets corroded, it's that nasty uh, um, iron, rusted iron smell mixed with dead fish and feces because the sewers back up, and it's horrible, man. It's horrible what these people are going to be experiencing. Now, after things start to rebuild, and you're still like in your daze. You're stunned. You're like in a daze. You can't believe what you're seeing. And for those who have lost their homes and loved ones, it's like your life is forever changed. And there are some it takes years. It'll take years to recover emotionally from all this. And this is what makes it so tough, because when you're hit like that emotionally, it's like you have no reason to go on. That's how you feel. Well, why should I go on? Now, I cannot speak on that behalf because we did not get hit that bad compared to what did get him, but we did get some destruction. But what these people are going through is massive. It's massive. So after you realize, okay, it's time to not just collect our thoughts, but we gotta make sure we get enough rest, get something to eat, from the food from FEMA, get enough water, build up the energy, and you see your neighbor down the street, you help them out, and then little by little you start to rebuild. But it is a very very slow process, and slower for some than others, and understandably so because of the loss. For those who are musicians, let me tell you, music is going to be the last thing on your mind. I'll tell you that right now. It's survive. You're in survival mode. As time passes, the businesses see here's the rumble in there. It takes time for the businesses to get up and running. You want to get things up and running because what you want to do is get back to some sort of normalcy. I still have in my camera the destruction that we saw with all the ships on piled on top of each other. I'm like, whoa, look at this. And I gotta get that on my laptop. And sometimes it's hard to do because you really don't want to look at it. And what these people are going through, it's they wish it never happened. They wish it never happened, and I wish it never happened for them either. So, what does this have to do with the Guitar Channel? It's so minute compared to what they're going through. Well, after you start rebuilding, um, and businesses slowly are coming back, they try to get back to a certain sort of normalcy to bring up the morale. Now I'm going to shift this part of the conversation, into how it affects us musicians. If you were fortunate enough that your gear did not get destroyed and your car did not get destroyed, one of the biggest destructions of the car, besides the houses and the roads, is your cars, man. Wow. I forget where it was down here. Maybe in Port Charlotte, because Port Charlotte got hit, which is 2 towns north of us. The lady, or the family, had 2 weeks ago, had just bought a new car to replace the other car that got destroyed in Hurricane Ian. And with this one, a tree blew down and smashed the brand new car. What starts to happen, as you get the feelings, how many times can I rebuild? How many times can I move forward? Now, before I get into anything else with the music, I want to stop myself here. We're expecting another storm. It's headed toward the Gulf. It's got a 40% chance of developing, according to our local news. And what we're hoping is that it stays as a storm and does not develop into a hurricane and dies down before it hits the shores. Because even if it develops as a Category 1 and it blows back up in that area, it won't take much of rain or a storm to make bad situations worse. And with the amount of flooding that they were showing on the news, you don't need rain. You know, it's like, wow. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So as hopefully it's survival and not just recovery that we start to see. Although I heard the death toll was, I think it was at 100, 120 or something like that. I have to check it out, But one life is too much. Is too much. So for the people who are the musicians, I could tell you, when we went through it, we lost approximately 75% of places to play at. So 75% of places that you lost that income. And when you're in recovery and rebuild mode, people will band together and help one another out. Which that's the beauty of it. If there's a light at the end of the tunnel, it's that light of hope. But as time goes by, and it's gonna go by, it's gonna be a rough sailing, because that amount of destruction. We're not talking about maybe 2 years. It could be 10, 12 years, man, maybe longer. That's a long time. It could be shorter, but you have to forecast all this out, and you have to have your mindset ready to say, okay, what else could I do to start to make money? Because what will eventually happen is that the grieving will start to subside, especially when there's a multiple group of people grieving at the same time. And then you start getting a few of those people within that group starting to rebuild and starting to lend a hand to pull you up, to help you out. And you're going to go through those emotions where it's like some days you're going like this with your emotions, because you miss your loved one, you miss your home, you all your belongings got destroyed, your memories are gone, and you're just trying to build back that normalcy. But there will be times when you're going to get into that deep depression, and that's what's really tough. But you're going to have to get through it, because if you don't, the people who do get through it, like I said, time will pass, and then it's not sounding mean, but it's like people will start to say, "Well, I was able to rebuild. How come you were not able to?" And that's what's so tough, because it's going to be like an emotional little battle there, because people will handle situations differently. The best, especially if it comes to something like your loved ones are together, you didn't lose your loved ones, you just lost belongings, and it's tough because it's that rebuild process, especially when you're in your 50s and 60s and 70s. Some people say, "Man, I can't rebuild." That's what makes it so tough in that age bracket, especially when you're in your 70s and your 80s, because I remember a guy was being interviewed after he lost his house in Fort Myers Beach. Excuse me, and he said, "Excuse me, sorry." He said, "I'm 84 years old, man." I think his wife passed 10 years prior, so he was a widower. And he said, as the guy from the news was interviewing, he looked at him and says, "What do I got to live for? I'm 84 years old. What do I have?" Some people at 54 will make that comment. And that's what's so tough, is trying to build up that strength to carry on. I mean, I wish I knew what to say for those people going through those emotions, because I just thank God that Deb and I did not have to experience it, but we've been around people that did in the area here. It's like, wow, man. How could I think about how soon my gig's coming back when my neighbor down there, just down the road, just lost her husband, and they were relying on both of their Social Security check to survive, and now it's down to one Social Security. You see, these things, your bills don't go away. Um, Again, that's when you start seeing the people band together to help one another out. there was a family of musicians that they lost everything, and they were trying to rebuild, and people were helping them out. And a lot of these people, they just moved out of the state, but where are they going to go? You know, a lot of people that maybe have gone through this up in like Asheville, North Carolina, and that whole area there. You know, they got to rebuild. Sometimes the way they rebuild, they pack up what little they have left, and they go to a different state. Now, what does this have to do with music? Well, as the time goes on and businesses rebuild, they're still recovering from. I'm not trying to compare this hurricane to Ian, so I don't want that to sound like that. But the only way I could compare this is by our experience going through this and what you could possibly expect. Maybe you won't go through this, but chances are you are. That rebuild process is very, very slow. Insurance companies start going out of business. And now who's going to pick up the pieces? Because, for instance, like where we're at here, if our house would have blown down, although, thank God, the government did say, look, when the house blows down from the hurricane, you cannot charge the homeowner X amount of money to have it torn down and the debris removed. Because some of that starts like at 10 grand. And when you just lost everything, how do you come up with 10 grand to tear down the rest of your house so they could get rid of the debris so that no one in the neighborhood walks around and starts hurting themselves with all the debris? And then it's an eyesore and all this other stuff. So thank God they were helping those who had to do a total demolition on their house. They didn't charge the homeowner. But then you still have to go find a place to live. So it's very, very tough. Now, let me get into the music side and how this starts to have a lasting effect. The homeowners, or let me put it this way, the places we play at down here also have homes down here. They got it worse is their home got destroyed and their business got destroyed. Yeah, they're done. They're done. Very few of them muster up the strength and the willingness to carry on, but it's very hard. It's very hard. So how it affects us is that, yeah, people want to bring back the music and the arts because it brings back that normalcy. But at a time of survival and rebuilding, it's not a necessity. So, you see what I mean? It's this catch-22. It's very therapeutic to have something to be able to look at, to take your mind off, or listen to take your mind off of this. But don't expect it to be, okay, I could, expect this. Expect, if you don't have any savings, expect that it's going to take a long time to rebuild your savings. And I don't want it to sound on a money situation, but you gotta understand it will come to that. It's inevitable. And if you're not prepared for it, it's gonna hit you blindsided, and it's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. This is where people start giving up. This is where they get so depressed they commit suicide. And it's very sad. It is very, very sad. I do know that there was a guy named Tom who has a place called La Ola. And he had his restaurant in Fort Myers Beach, Times Square. That got destroyed, but he came up with like a food truck. He bought a couple of containers, shipping containers, and was able to bring them together, I don't think he welded them. He was able to forge them together and somehow connect them with a steel strip down the center where he had rivets to secure them. But the rivets were able to you were able to dismantle this and move these containers on flatbed trailers. I think you needed a heavier truck though, but it was still movable when you needed to move it. But yet, since it's a container, it's strong enough to handle. Well, I don't know if it got destroyed or not. Thank God he's got the other restaurant that we did the gig at in Estero at Bell Towers. But even though he's got that, he still has this mess he's got to take care of, and he's got to pay for this mess, and then pay for, the rental of this place and the insurance, and then still take care of this. And he was trying everything, and I think he was going about it the right way. And he was being interviewed on the news, and they told him his basically, in a nutshell, it's something to the effect that your trailer, your container is not light enough that could be moved with a regular pickup truck. Well, if it could be moved with a regular pickup truck, that means it's lightweight. When something's lightweight and you get a strong wind, 85 miles an hour, even, boom, it can knock it over. So you want something a little bit heavier. So if he's got to get a friend that has a semi truck to move it, there's a lot of people that are down here that have semi trucks in the trucking business, and obviously he took the time out to do the research to get the containers and get them on flatbeds. So obviously he did the research enough to know that he needs X amount of a weight capacity to help move those containers. So obviously he probably not just called one person but a few people, because since he already went through the Hurricane Ian and he's on the beach, he's gonna have a backup system. He's a smart guy, and he was still getting some slack from the town. I don't know what happened to his food truck, but I could tell you what's going to happen with the live scene at his other restaurants. It's going to slow down, and this is what's going to happen with a lot of places that has these huge disasters, and when they're trying to rebuild. I'm not trying to make this into a topic just about music because it is such a tragedy that it happened. This, compared to what everyone's going through, is so minute it isn't funny. But I'm just trying to bring light to the subject on, as the recovery and the rebuild process moves forward, and it's going to move forward, you're going to expect to go through some of these things of a very slow process, of very little places to play at if you're a musician, and the necessities are going to be very, they're going to take precedent over the wants. The needs are going to take precedent over the wants. What I will say is, if you have other skills than playing, you may want to think about. I'm going to say something here. I've seen a couple of these videos, and I think these people, they mean well. So I'm not knocking them. Whether they're trying to be a full-time artist, I've seen a couple of them pop up. Full-time artists, geez, wasn't all that I cracked up to be. Or if they're graphic designers. One girl was saying, at first it's a dream job, but then it becomes a job, and the passion is like you start losing the passion because now you are forced with these deadlines. No matter what you create, or if you're into graphic designs, you got the client, you go back and forth. No, I want to change this, or I want to change that. Well, I need to change this, or I need to change that. Or here's a real good comparison. A good friend of ours, Reggie, he has him and his wife they're doing custom jewelry, and he's got some of his stuff in one of the major jewelry stores downtown Cape Coral. I think he still does this. He was doing videography, and he was doing videography for some of the hospitals. And actually, he also used to be, I think, an A&R guy for one of the record labels. And he was giving me insight on that because he said everything has changed now, man. It's a total world, different world we live in. But he was giving me these examples. He gets together with these clients, and they want to pick these days, certain days, to shoot the video. But yet he's trying to explain to them, okay, but the videos could be, let's say, a 3-minute tutorial video, or if it's a training video. If you like, if anyone's gone to any college or trade school, you're watching videos or anything, you're gonna watch certain videos. Well, when they go out to shoot the videos, if that scene is supposed to be one continuous scene, but yet it's taken a while, and you might have to. All right, the main scene has different portions of it in it. You might have close-ups where people have a conversation, and then you might have a far shot. You see them together standing, having a conversation, but it's got to be. It's basically trying to depict, let's say, a 10-minute conversation, a meeting or something. And the one thing you don't want to do when you're shooting these videos is that, okay, so and so is sick today. We'll have to shoot this tomorrow. We already started doing some of the shooting of the close-ups of the conversation, and the sun is shining in the background. But yet, so and so today, it's the same time. You want to try to pick the same time where the shadows are the same, the sun is the same, because you're trying to mimic that same scene. And then you go back the next day, and it's raining. You lose time. Is what's happening. But sometimes these people, within that process, they change their minds. Oh, now I got to go through this. My point is that he was going through this, and it was like very stressful, very, very stressful. So when it comes down to these people with this advice that you could do this, that, and the other, it's easier said than it is done. And although they mean well, so they're basically in a long shot. The dream job of doing the videography has its challenges. The dream job of this lady talking about with doing graphic designs, or leasing patterns, or doing the art, or even with the music, when it becomes the job, and there are times you can have bad days, you don't want to do it. So when I see these videos about people giving all this advice, at the end of some of these videos, and I'm not going to name them because they mean well, and they're trying to give good advice to, coaching people that you can do this and you can do that, and this could happen and that can happen, but it doesn't mean it will. And that's why sometimes people, they try it and they give up. But then they'll say, in the long run, have multiple streams of income. Well, there you go. You need that. So my point is, when something like this happens, these disasters happen, if you have other skills that's going to help you to be able to make some money to help you rebuild, don't neglect it, because some of these places, they might not come back. They might not come back. And if you're relying on this, if you're a musician relying on that gig, and that gig's not coming back, well, guess what? No matter how hard you try, it's not coming back. Now, instead of 50 places in the area you have to play at, now you're down to maybe 20. And then all those musicians that lost those gigs, guess where they're going to go? They're going to go where the work is, and then now become saturated. And then now what happens is, for some of these club owners and restaurant owners, they see this and like, okay, well, we can't do 7 days a week anymore, not for a long, long time, because we're in the rebuild process. We don't have the money because our insurance company crapped out on us, and now we had to pay for the remaining of the repairs, so we lost money there. So how we gonna pay these people to come in and play? Well, we had to downsize, and we had to down it to the entertainment maybe just 2 days a week. And if you got 50 bands fighting for a gig 2 days a week, everyone gets. And if the club owner, restaurant owner wants to give everybody a fair shot to play at, well, there's only 2 days you can play. You can't, unless you could have an all day thing, and you could bring people in. You know, you're gonna be pushed out. You'll be on the list, but you're just not gonna be uh, doing every week or every other week. You might be doing every month or every other month, one gig. So you got to be prepared for all that. You know, it's kind of hard to talk about this right now when that's going on, because they're still, you know, they're still in the infant stages of going through this. Because see now, just because the hurricane came and went, this now comes the real pain and suffering. And my God, I wish I had something better to say, but I'm not gonna say a bunch of lies. And I'm not trying to compare their hurricane from our hurricane. I know. I'm just trying to let people know what you can expect. And then each part of the country is going to be slightly different, you know. But recovering from natural disasters is recovering from natural disasters, and rebuilding is rebuilding. And man, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. It's just that try to stay positive. Surround yourself with those friends that understand what you're going through and are sharing the same thing. You know, this is what the comment means by sometimes out of natural disaster, you know, these disasters, there's blessings, and those blessings are when people start to bind together and they start really helping each other out. If they can't do it financially, they'll do it by physically helping rebuild, or just that moral support, you know, just being there. A shoulder that you can lean your head on when you're just feeling down. Because that right there is very powerful. That's just as powerful as the financial aid and the rebuilding process, because the grieving process runs deep and it's lasting. And after you rebuild the house and everything is getting back to normal, you still face with the loss of a loved one. And that's what makes it tough. And that moral support is so important. It is so important to hang on. Um, you know, this is where you find out where people start to they turn to religion. A lot of people turn away because they think that they're a square or something, or they think that they're an outcast, or they think God's not going to forgive them. God will forgive you. You know, you just got to do your part. But that's when you find out, man. That's when you really find out that there are times when miracles, I mean, they do work. They really do work. So I just hope everyone out there is able to pull themselves together, surround yourself with, you know, loving and caring people. If you need to grieve together, by all means, man, by all means. You're not weak. You just got hit. You know, we're all human. We're not machines. No matter how, just you take the strongest man that says he could get through anything. It's interesting when people get sick with cancer or any other internal diseases. It's a little micro, you know, little, you can't see them. Those are what takes these people down. You know, so we're not invincible. Yeah, I feel bad for these people, man. I feel real bad. You know, like I said, I gotta look at some of the videos, do a little research, see what happened with Randy Tritt, because I think he got hit. And in some of these areas, these people, they have no communications. No communication. No food. or whatever food is starting to perish because if they got, meats and I mean, the only thing that could last a little bit longer is canned goods. Then you got to develop the taste for eating it right out of the can if you don't have any power, or if you don't have a generator, or if it's, some of these are hills areas, so it's muddy and you can't. There's no solid ground you can set set up your generator to get something going. Oh, it's tough, man. It's man. Just hope and pray that their suffering is not lasting, and they could rebuild and come back stronger. You know, I don't mean to sound depressed or anything like that, guys. It's just that Oh, good. I got some. Yeah, Hadley Scott, we do have power. I am so sorry, guys. Let me see if I can catch up on these chats here. Yeah, guys. Been there months. The recovery will start. Yeah, it does. It does. It's a slow process, man. It's a slow process. It's, for anyone that starts to feel like they lost all hope, try to regroup your emotions. Find those people that you could talk with, hang out with, and just help one another out with those emotions, man, because it's the emotions are very powerful. You ever notice when you're feeling down, nothing happens because nothing gets started because you're feeling down? So that's how powerful emotions are. Yeah, we've been blessed and fortunate, Hadley Scott. We do have power. But I'll tell you what, when the storm was coming through down here, because it hit us on Thursday, and the lights were flickering. Quite a few times they flickered, but not enough to whack off our, your digital clock when it starts to flash. Usually it'll go back to 12 o'clock. It was actually flashing the exact same time. It was able to keep going forward, and our AC, we didn't have any problems with that. But when we got hit with Ian a couple years ago, oh yeah, it was a different story, man. That was a different story. That's why I know what these people are going through. You could say, and this is true. There is advanced warnings with the hurricanes, as opposed to tornadoes. But the thing is, because I used to think this too. Why are these people down in Florida still down there, or Louisiana, or parts of Texas and that, or on the east side of Florida, like the Miami side and Fort Lauderdale and Boca Raton and all of that, Daytona and all. Why do they stay there? When you, especially if you're a native of that area, that's your home. It's easier said than it is done to uproot and just leave. You will, for survival's sake, but you want to come back. It's not like, okay, here's the reality. If you're going to do something like that, you might as well start your evacuation after the hurricane season and prepare for next hurricane season. And if you want to do this where even your mindset feels comfortable, just uproot and relocate. But before you do that, go to those places. Don't just YouTube them or Google them. I mean, that does help. That's the convenience with this technology. But it is wise to visit those places. Let's say if you're interested to relocate somewhere, the place you want to relocate, if you got vacation time, or if you just got the time to do it, go over there and visit and really talk with the locals. That's the best way to find out what's happening in that area, and then understand things could change over time. Between the time you visit that place and the time you actually relocate. It does. It does take time. So obviously, you know, you're okay. For instance, this next storm that's gonna roll in, it's headed toward the Gulf area. It has a 40% chance of developing, and they say, well, we'll know within the next 7 days. Okay, 7 days. It is 7 days is 7 days. Okay, you could prepare your evacuation, but it's not like you can prepare your actual relocation. Get everything set. Grab all your belongings. Excuse me. Gather your photos, your wedding pictures, baby shower pictures, baby pictures, birthdays, your memorable moments. Put them in a plastic tote. Load up the car. Oh, and then you got your clothes you got to worry about. Oh, and I got this. Oh, I got the guitarist. I'm still a musician. And I'm still going to be actively gigging. You got the gear. This is a big one. And I'll tell you what. When Old Man Dan made the comment about when he liquidated some of the guitars, he had some nice guitars too, man. He had like Primo, and he was relocating, and I think he moved from Colorado to I think it's Ohio or Iowa. But the comment that he made about downsizing was a very smart one because if something were to happen, I can't fit all this stuff in our two RAV4s, and they don't have the package, the power and the strength to hook up a hitch in a trailer. And here's the reality: when you're going to plan an evacuation and you decide, oh, I need a U-Haul, you're not the only one thinking that. Guess what? Now the U-Hauls are, hey man, we don't have any left. Everyone else is renting them. So it's this process of evacuation that you plan. Even though you got 7 days, it's still not it's still not long enough to do. Then when you add to the fact that if you love the area that you're living in, it's not easy to leave. Whether you're a native or born native to that area, or you're what's called a transplant, you relocated over there, and you love it, and you're settled in. I tell you what, when Deb and I were going to do the RV living, I mean that's as close as we got to seriously downsizing the gear, only to a few main guitars, whatever we're using for the gigs, and man, that's it. It's not a bad idea because we never know when we have to hightail it out of here, and we do like it here. Deb's got family in Texas. I got my friend that lives in Texas, Jocelyn. Went to high school with her. She used to be in the Garland area, Garland, Texas, which is by the Dallas Fort Worth area, and we've done quite a few shows in that area. So that won't be a that wouldn't be difficult if we had to relocate there. But you see, you still have floods in Texas, and Steve Ray Vaughan's take on Texas flood. It's like nowhere's really safe if you think about it. You just got to be prepared for it. But you part of that preparation is the emotional preparation because it's so deep, so deep. So again, my thoughts and my prayers out to all those people. I want to see if I don't have any more in the chat, guys. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to talk about the music in this situation. But the reason why I do bring up, there are people that are musicians that are involved in this, that area. And I feel maybe a need to kind of let them know if they don't know. Maybe they've gone through it before. I don't know. But chances are some of those areas they lost probably about 95 to 98% of places to play at. Some of them 100%. And will they stick around to rebuild? Who knows? But see, when you uproot and you got to relocate, even if you've traveled, when you relocate, you got to understand if it's been there, if it's been a while since you've been to that area, things do change. And when you experience that, let's say you go to relocate and you're going to set up your gigs there. This could even happen between the time you visit the place to the time you actually relocate. And in between that time, the restaurant sold and now it's under new management, new set of rules. We went from a jazz club to a country club, or we went from a country club to a rock club, or we went from a rock club that had country and jazz to now we're a sports bar. We don't have music anymore. Put the jukebox on. There went your gig. You know, honestly, guys, if you have any type of skills, seek those skills out first. Secure that. Because even if you got money saved up, and it's really easy to blow through money, it could be very easy. And it could be easy just by eating out all the time. Some people have money, they try to live frugally, but it's so easy to get caught up in entertaining other, friends and family. So then you go out to the restaurants, and everything's expensive out there, and you don't want to be cheap. What I mean by that is you want to be able to leave the tip, especially if they deserve it. If they don't deserve the tip, hey, I understand. But the point is that it's very easy to burn through money. And if you start seeing your savings going down, more money is leaving the bank account than going in, there's a problem. And it's going to be a very strong emotional problem because there's when the panic hits. I just hope and pray for everyone, man. I just hope and pray for everyone. So, anyways, guys, I hope this kind of helps. I mean, it might have sounded like it's kind of scattered all over, but you know, this is what you're going to go through if you're already going through it. Like I said, surround yourself with those people that can understand what you're going through, that are sympathetic with you, and that are in the same boat. And band together, man. Just band together and help one another out there. And life will get better. Life will get better. We are scheduled to play Friday at the art walk outside, but there's a possibility we'll get rained out. That's on Friday. And Saturday we're scheduled to play at Miramar Outlets. That could that could get a rain out, although we might be able to be underneath a canopy. It's interesting. We do these places, and they still pay us. You know. Oh, what I was gonna say about with some of the YouTube advice I see out there, you know, these people mean well. I'll do a separate video on that. I'll definitely do a separate video on that. It's not gonna be trashing and bashing anybody, but in a nutshell, there's people that give you that advice. Don't even take it from me. Do the research yourself. Find out what your financial situation is and or your health situation, your emotional situation. But when it comes to finance, really look at what you're up against. Try not to compare yourself to other people out there. Because what works for me won't work for you. What works for you won't work for me. And the people that, if they rub you the wrong way, just leave those people. But, this thing is, if someone's trying to coax you into, man, I've done it, you could do it, take that chance. No risk, no reward. Well, we know that goes in your favors when you're young and you got time to rebuild. But when you're not young, it could be really tough if you have to go back to work. See, we're very blessed and fortunate. We have CDL license, and that industry, you know, the older you are, the more wiser you are. In some cases, and in some places, okay. And we did the full-time music living, and there's no regrets there. Love it. Would we go back to it now with the drop in CD sales and with all the free music out there? It'd be real tough. It'd be real, real tough. Well, you're not taking a risk. You're right. I'm not taking a risk. I know what it. I know what it is. I know what it could be. My advice to anybody in this situation: if you got a place that's treating you good, and your gut feeling says, "I don't know if I should leave this right now," don't, because you could leave it, and then trying to get back in, and you got replaced. Sorry, we're not hiring. Now you're screwed. Now you're financially screwed. And for these people to give you all this advice, yeah, I'm doing this and I made this video and I got a bazillion hits and likes now. How much money are you really making? Well, there's always this dramatic, you know, thumbnail. How I made 7 figures in 1 week of YouTube, and I sold some cornflakes that looked like Abe Lincoln or something. It's always something that's weird, or just. And I'm not saying all of it is. All of it. And I'm not saying all of it is. But you get some of it that I really question. You know how you can test to see if these people are legit? Ask them if they could go finance a car right now. Right now. Or tomorrow. Go finance a car. Well, you need a co-signer, right? Deb used to work at Toyota, Auto Nation. Now, I'm not going to put words in her mouth. She was doing the sales, not me. She also worked at Camping World, selling the RVs. But I can guarantee you this, man. You walk in and you tell somebody and you want to buy a car or you want to finance an RV or a boat or so whatever it is you want, if that's high ticket item, where it's tens of thousands, and some of these trucks are in the hundred thousands, depending on what you want to buy in a Ford F-350, a dually or something, 450. Man, you're gonna be over that $100,000 mark, and you tell them you're a YouTuber. What's that? Where's the proof of income? Fluctuating. You need a substantial amount of down payment, and you need a co-signer, and that's if we decide to sell to you. Unless you got the money to pay out outright, that's different. And I'm not trying to knock anybody who is doing that, but it's some of these stories, they don't sound believable. They don't convince me, because I know there's these realities out there. So I know a lot of times I'll bring this up on my YouTube channel because I'll see people will try to coax other people to do these things. Go ahead and do them. If they work out for you, great. My advice is watch what you spend, because I'm gonna tell you right now, with this, doing this full time, it's a fluctuating income. Where you can have more of a guarantee is if you got all these wedding gigs lined. I don't want to be a wedding guitarist. I don't want. Okay, then don't. That market has drastically changed. You'd be surprised on that one. But if you got signed contracts and deposits, and even with that, something could go wrong. But at least if you got the deposit, you got the deposit. But the point is, those are more reliable. That and the corporate gigs where these companies have contacted you and they've mailed the check or they mailed the deposit, everything is inked. You drop, because Deb, she would drop the contracts, and she'd have all our our what our company requires, right there in writing, to protect us and protect the other people as well. Protect the clients as well. So what she would do. Sorry about that. Sometimes I chew these little root beer candies and they got something stuck right here. Anyways, so she would drop the contracts, so there's a guarantee. Your restaurant gigs, those could change. Your club gigs, those could change. YouTube, that changes. And I'm not knocking it, but it does change. We've seen changes. So that's why I don't wet myself in the pants to try to do, you know, and I'm not knocking anybody who's doing this, because I think it is a really cool thing. I do think it's cool. I do love doing the YouTube thing. But I'd rather have the steady source of money coming in and watch this build, because I seen this fluctuate so badly. And they're the ones in control, not you. See, they're the ones that you saying you could and you can. But the steady source streams of income, whether it's you got these wedding contracts and these corporate contracts, or you got a day job, especially the day job, that's definitely be steady unless the company goes out of business. And if you've ever noticed, when you go to get these jobs, they will tell you what you will be making, not what you could be making or you can. It's going to be what you will be making. So you could basically forecast that whole year out. If you plan, staying, you could forecast the year out. But with this, you could forecast it on a maybe and an if. But see, that maybe and if goes both ways. And when companies go under or natural disasters strike, and now you just lost that, Yucatan, we were playing that, they got hit. Now, they did not get it as bad as Hurricane Ian, but they got hit. But see, they quit having music until things get now it could be even further. They're going to have to prolong the entertainment of not having entertainment, because another hurricane, this one came by, and it only takes a little bit of storm surge, a little bit of 6 inches of water to do a lot of damage, man. I mean, a lot of damage. If you got a restaurant, you got even 3 inches of water, right away you gotta have the city inspectors come in. You gotta make sure you got no mold, because you're serving food. And the reason why I say this is, if you're a musician relying on that gig, you gotta understand there's a domino effect. Basically, what I'm saying. So, anyways, guys, I hope the best for everyone out there. Stay strong. Try to stay strong. Um, there's people out there that love and care about you out there, and maybe they cannot send you money, send you things, but at least a lot of us, we could send you our thoughts and prayers and try to help you with some positive thinking. Although it could sound like it's negative, but there's realities you got to look at, so you're prepared. The sweet talking, soothsaying is nice. It's nice if it's honest and it's true. But sometimes that tough love talk to prepare you is as important to hear and to have, because it's reality to prepare you, so you're not what they call shell shocked. What hurts worse than a tough love truth is a soft soothsaying lie. That hurts worse, because that leads people on. Man, it felt good when I heard it, but boy, it's more disastrous. This guy was trying to tell me. He was right. So, anyways, my friends, I hope this helps, and again, thoughts and prayers out to everybody. Stay strong and safe and true, and we'll let you know about Friday, and I'll maybe dedicate these next 2 shows to everyone out there who are going through any type of a despair. Sometimes that healing music is what's needed. Okay, my friends, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Strong, safe, and true. Rock on, and God bless. We love you all. Thank you for watching. Take care now.